recycled air. Just isn't the same as the real thing.
Hello, Captain. Huh? Sorry. Of course. There are no secrets among friends. I'd be happy to tell you more about myself. I call myself an experimental theologian. I have a particular interest in the relationship between quantum physics, probability, and the divine. My beliefs have primarily been shaped by reading the works of ancient astronomers like Johannes Kepler, Isaac Newton, and Galileo Galilei. A bit of a mouthful, I know. That's why I think it's important to write it all down in a book. Unfortunately not. My mothers chose the last name when they married to honor their shared love of astronomy. I've always considered Johannes Kepler to be something like my guardian angel. I often turn to his writings when I need a new perspective on my own studies. It's an honor to carry his name through the Starfield. I've always thought he'd be awed by how far humanity has come. Mainly through observation. My prized possession as a child was my telescope. I spent hours watching the stars. As I got older, I became fascinated with the mathematics behind what I was seeing, and began to study the works of classical astronomers. My interest in a divine mathematician evolved from their theories about sacred geometry. I had a feeling you might. I get the impression you've been touched by something otherworldly. I imagine that would shape anyone's perspective. Nowhere you've heard of. My mothers were listers. They raised me on a small planet in the Narian system. We called it Avalon. Remembering them always makes me smile. Their names were Brenda and Lynette, and they were travelers like me. They met by chance at the Deimos Star Yard and fell in love at first sight. They abandoned their careers shortly after to join List and travel together. After they'd established a homestead on Avalon, they traveled to New Atlantis to adopt me. LIST is an acronym. It's short for League of Independent Settlers. It's a term for homesteaders who strike out on their own rather than settling in a city. I've met plenty on my travels. They always have remarkable stories to share. I have, and I'm grateful for it. To live an explorer's life has been an extraordinary privilege. I'll have more than enough interesting stories to tell in my book. I'd be happy to. Avalon holds a very special place in my heart. It's a beautiful place that's covered in lakes and almost always shrouded in mist. My mothers thought it resembled the mythological kingdom of Avalon from the Arthurian legends. That's where we got the name. It certainly looked the part. Growing up there felt like living in a storybook. I used to hunt for fairies on the shores near our home. In a sense. They're buried there, side by side on the hill that overlooks our old homestead. They wouldn't have it any other way. I never minded being alone. I enjoy the company of my thoughts and those of the authors whose books I read. Exploring Avalon with a book under my arm as a child set me up perfectly for a life of scholarship. We were, but it wasn't unusual to be attacked by passing spacers. Luckily, we built our homestead sturdy enough to keep them out. My mother's always prepared for the worst. It's the only way to live when you're on your own. They assured that I knew how to defend myself from a young age. I'd offered to bring you for a visit, but I'm afraid its location is a family secret. My mother's insisted I keep it to myself when I left home. I'm afraid you'll have to settle for dreaming of Avalon, like so many before you. I left to begin my studies. It seemed to me like the Starsea was the most reasonable place to find answers about the universe and the divine. Leaving was a difficult decision, but I don't regret it. I found no shortage of material for my book out here in the space lanes. It's going to be a philosophical text explaining my theories about science and divinity. I'm writing it as a means of preserving my way of thinking for future scholars. Thank you, Captain. I appreciate that. Whether I find what I'm looking for or not, I'm grateful to be traveling with you. I haven't enjoyed myself this much in a long time. I'll keep you in my thoughts.